Inception. Chris Nolan's second entry on this list and proof the director is one of a kind. Constantly toying with the idea of a Hollywood blockbuster, he got his super big break with Inception, where he was given $160 million to make the movie. Original, ambitious, and smart, it's one of the best big films of modern times, and the plot is so crazy and all over the place, you cannot possibly understand it all in round one, especially as it raises question after question that can only be tackled if you got through it again after knowing what happens. Doesn't make any sense. Better still, it makes you think about each of its different concepts, from death to love to dreams to reality to inspiration. It's certainly not for everyone, but even then Inception will slowly tempt you back in for a second viewing. You just need to know. The point is, you never really know. Anchorman.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy.
There are so many jokes in Anchorman, and good jokes at that you'll never pick up on them on one go around. It's literally impossible. Moving from cult comedy to now a legendary movie, it's one of the most quoted films ever and genuinely is a cultural phenomenon. It's just seemed to grow and grow ever since it was first released. There's so many skits here, it'd be impossible to go over all of them, and given that a lot was improvised too, there's even more to love. Your best bet is to watch it, enjoy it, go to bed, wake up, watch it again, and then repeat that for a while. You'll always be entertained. This could very well be Will Ferrell's finest hour. Skyfall. There was always going to be one Bond movie on this list, and given that Die Another Day and Quantum of Solace are, well, rubbish, and Casino Royale is kind of an origins movie, we're gonna put it all on Skyfall, because it's better than Spectre, which sucks. Directed by Sam Mendes and doing a very good job of standing on its own 2 feet, as opposed to most Bond movies which feel the need to live up to certain expectations, Skyfall has humour, action, a well over-the-top villain, and Daniel Craig doesn't seem like he wants to stab himself in the eye because he's playing James Bond. Skyfall is also a treat to watch because it looks so good and has a decent script that takes you on quite the ride. You can easily watch this more than once and still get a kick out of it, which is a lot more that can be said for some Bond films. It's The Dark Knight. Is The Dark Knight one of the best films of all time? Yes. Yes, it is. So we've put that to bed. Feeling like Batman spilled out of the pages of a comic book and just existed in the real world, Nolan's second Batman movie takes obvious inspiration from crime epics such as Heat, which makes it incredible and, of course, grounded in reality. Then there's Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, which remains one of the best of the 21st century. Even at 152 minutes, it feels blisteringly fast and offers up bank heists, car chases, truck flips, explosions, and, naturally, Batman. And everything is better with Batman, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A romance movie that's not a romance movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is funny, scary, relatable, and, as we just established, nothing like the expected romance movie. There's no boy meets girl, boy falls for girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back nonsense. On top of this, there's a deliberate attempt to include dream imagery into proceedings that tries to convey the idea of one man being wiped of his memories related to the love of his life. It also features a tremendous performance by Jim Carrey and an equally as good one from Kate Winslet. Plus, it's utterly original, so when you're done watching it, there's a good chance you want to go round again at some point. Probably at least one thing you like about it. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Regardless what you think about Tom Cruise, when it comes to his movies, man, are they a lot of fun, especially his Mission Impossible run of films. Designed to be ridiculous from start to finish, Mission Impossible 4's whole plot is that a maniac wants to nuke the Earth into dust, while the good guys constantly change their faces with masks. But that's what makes it so good. Ghost Protocol embraces the idea of the absurd and then uses that foundation to work in some tremendous set pieces, including Cruise climbing around on one of the tallest buildings in the world. If nothing else, it's just really fun, and the story, unlike some of the previous entries, is kept simple so you can just sit back, relax, stuff popcorn into your mouth, and be entertained. 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street was and is a surprise. On paper, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's awful. When you actually sit down and watch it, it's genuinely hilarious, with gags being thrown at your face constantly. It also shows a whole new, and better, side to Channing Tatum. Playing an undercover cop that's partnered with nervy recruit Jonah Hill to bust a high school drugs ring, there's a feeling throughout the movie that because no one is expecting anything from it, everyone involved was able to just have fun with the whole thing. And that's obvious almost from the beginning. It also gets funnier every time you watch it, so make sure you do that. Kill Bill Volume 1. Quentin Tarantino's big focus seems to be making films that are stupidly entertaining. That's the case with Kill Bill Volume 1 too. Pushing together westerns, samurai movies, anime, and a big dose of black comedy, this is the movie where Tarantino throws it all to the wind and wears his inspirations on his sleeve. It's out there for all to see. As such, it's quite the treat, especially given how well the director deals with filming action. He goes absolutely nuts here, holding nothing back, and the violence is so violent it almost becomes comical. Or horrific, depending on your disposition. The choreography alone is worth dipping your toe in. You can return for everything else. Superbad. Very similar to 21 Jump Street. There's so much to love about Superbad that it's easy to watch it over and over again. There's Seth Rogen's and Bill Hader's immature cops, loads of penis jokes, McLovin. It's also a wonderful window into most of our own stupid coming-of-age tales, painting a believable representation of school life, booze, and sex. A large reason for this is that writers Rogen and his co-writer Evan Goldberg wrote it when they were still teenagers, hence why the dialogue seems so accurate. Because it is. Better than this, however, is the fact there's a heart to the movie, which means you can warm to it as well as chuckle away, and those two attributes are nothing but pure power. I mean, 12 Years a Slave is incredible, but it's so intense and exhausting I doubt anyone is running back to get another viewing in. That's not what it's designed for, though, either. Amongst the many movies that come out each year, there are some that are designed to be an absolute joy to watch over and over again. Like an action film where things just blow up constantly, or a comedy that gets funnier on repeat viewings. The question then is, what are the most rewatchable ones? Well, I'm Simon from What Culture, Memento. While Memento is worth a second viewing, going through it multiple times is probably more of a must as opposed to a want. Starting at the end and then running backwards to the start, the film begins with Leonard, played by Guy Pearce, killing his partner in crime, and then you slowly start to understand why he did it. It's extremely confusing, which is the point, and the slow reveals are so thrilling and satisfying that you need to go through it again to make sure you understood exactly what it was trying to tell you. If nothing else, Chris Nolan's epic only really makes sense after you're on go-around number 3, and each watch gives you a newfound respect for what you're seeing. It's a classic and a masterpiece, which is just another reason to embrace it in this fashion.